questions we wrestle with as Christians about who God is, how do we live out our faith, what is the Bible, what is the truth of the Bible, what are we supposed to believe, how are we supposed to live? There are really big, deep questions that we ask each other, that we ask God, that we wrestle with ourselves. And that's why the Cultivate podcast exists, to help us go deeper in our understanding of who God is, His Word, and the way that He's called us to live. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on the Cultivate podcast. I am Charlie, lead pastor at the Grove Church, and we have with us Abigail Boone.
What's up?
Expert producer.
Hey.
Queen of asking questions.
Indeed.
The queen of curiosity and thoughtfulness and just deep questions.
Thank you.
So I always know that it's going to be a good episode.
It's curiosity
when you're sitting right there.
Digs deep.
That's no shot at Mark. I just know it's going to be a good episode because you're here. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Good. So as you know, and maybe that we have been covering a lot of different topics over the course of the last several weeks and kind of birthed out of a summer seminar class that we did where we had different speakers come in.
Also known as
SummerSlam.
Hey, that's right. That's what I like.
You prefer SummerSlam?
It sounds like we're doing like WrestleMania.
If we had called it SummerSlam, would you have made a wrestling logo for it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Put that down for next year. Put that in your Monday book or whatever it is.
Done.
And so I was out of town for a couple of them, and I spoke at a couple of them. Did you make it to most of them, all of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Other than the one about how to read the Bible or like tips on that, but all the rest of them, they're awesome.
It was a really cool deal. And so if I was the speaker, you've been interviewing me, and other speakers, I interviewed them to kind of just get some of that information out. And so the last topic that we did was
Revelation.
You said it singular.
I did. I learned that yesterday. Was that
Wednesday? Wednesday.
Just one revelation.
Just one long revelation.
Right.
Not a series of revelations. Unlike the Psalms.
Right.
Which are a collection of psalms.
Mm-hmm.
But each individual chapter
is a psalm. Right.
And these are the acts, plural, of the apostles.
Not the one act.
But one revelation of John.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
John.
Yep. Oh, we're already learning something.
I know. Is it the John?
The John.
Well, there's 3 Johns. 1st and 2nd and 3rd John. Is it that guy?
That's 3 letters, but by the same John. 1st John, 2nd John, 3rd John is not a reference to the John, but the letter itself.
Okay.
The first letter of John, the second letter of John, John's 3rd letter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John.
Okay. Not all the same guy.
Can you imagine? What's your name? I'm 3rd John. You must have come in late. Just one John who wrote the Gospel of John, one John who wrote those 3 letters, and one John that wrote the book of Revelation, singular.
Okay.
Same guy.
He lived quite a life.
The apostle, also referred to by himself in the Gospel of John as the disciple that Jesus loved.
That's
that's something else.
I'm going to start saying that. I am the staff member that Charlie loves.
I love it. Test that out at staff meeting. Let me know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So the questions about the book of Revelation. And do you remember specifically what the big picture question was? Why
should we study it?
Yeah.
Bingo.
Something like that.
I'm good.
Right? And so I remember in the series that we did with Mark that his question was, how do I interact with people of other religions?
Right.
And then he just didn't answer it. And it took us four episodes
to kind of get a question or an answer. So are you going to answer?
Well, you're asking the questions. I'm trying to transition to you to ask us. So I'll answer whatever question you ask.
Okay. And so we'll nail down why should you study this book.
Okay.
All right.
And so the thing that I said then, which I'll say now.
Because it's in the Bible?
Yeah, I mean, at its simplest, we could have a 5-second answer to that question, which is, I mean, it's in there.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I'm guessing that most people mean something different than that. Have you ever
asked that question?
Have you ever read or studied Revelation?
I think I started it once.
Okay.
And I didn't make it all the way through because it kind of reminded me of Hebrews.
Okay.
This is just like kind of going over my head.
I'm not tracking with you. There are way too many metaphors and illustrations here.
Yes.
I don't know who Melchizedek is in Hebrews, and I don't know what this dragon is about here in Revelation. And
I don't know what this is about my personality, but it was like, you know what, that's happening in the future. May not be there.
Right, and I think that is kind of part of the heart behind the question.
Mm-hmm.
I read this and I'm just confused. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem to be teaching me anything about the way that I should live life. And I think for most of us, that is the practical, real reason why we study the Bible. Mm-hmm. What kind of person should I be?
Right. What application can I
or
pull from this?
What is this going to tell me about who God is? Like, so I want it to lead me to some sort of worship or deeper knowledge of God, or I want it to help me understand how to be a better person, how to live the Christian life in a better way. This doesn't seem to be doing either of those things. It's not a story where I'm just, it's an interesting story. It doesn't feel like that either.
Right. It
feels really weird, metaphorical, futuristic, a little bit scary, a lot hard to understand. Mm-hmm. So hard pass.
Right. Yeah.
Is that kind of how you feel about it?
Oh, definitely. Because I definitely I don't know if this would apply to the whole entire Bible, but I've heard before that you can ask, is this prescriptive or descriptive about different texts in the Bible? And I feel like I get to that and it's like, this is just a really crazy story.
Right.
And I don't know what category to put any of those in.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's definitely just kind of seems like a curveball that you get to at the very end of the Bible. And it's like, well, I read the rest.
So this particular genre in the Bible is referred to as apocalyptic literature. And Revelation is the only book that pretty much in its entirety is apocalyptic. But there are some sections of Matthew where Jesus talks like this. And there's some significant portions of the book of Daniel that are like this. That would be considered, they have apocalyptic sections to them where there's just a lot of talk about what the end of the world is going to be like.
Okay, so it means literally what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like the
if I say apocalypse,
yes,
end of the world.
Yes.
And so an apocalyptic literature.
It's a hard word to say.
Apocalyptic. Yeah, you just want to make sure, especially for a Southerner who is not accustomed to pronouncing all of the consonants within a word.
Right, yeah.
Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic.
I can get rid of the A. It's apocalyptic literature.
Apocalyptic. Yeah, exactly.
But if you're going to say it, you got to make sure you get all the word apocalyptic literature. And so it has this, descriptive prophetic nature about what the end of the world is going to be like. So Revelation is a lot of it, but it's not the only place. Again, Matthew and Daniel both have some of that. And so if it was important enough for Jesus to talk about while he was here, if it was then important enough to give John this kind of prophetic revelation to where he saw all this and tried to describe it and, as writing it down in Revelation, it seems like it has a bit of weight to it.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard it described as prophetic. I kind of put that in the category of the Old Testament.
Well, what does the word prophetic mean?
It's announcing something that's coming. Okay. That makes sense. I just never put that in the New Testament.
Right. Well, yes, that's what apocalyptic would be, is if we believe that it is true, it is a prophetic description of what the end of the world is going to be like.
Okay.
And for reasons, obviously Jesus thought it was important. God thought it was important to mention it some in the Old Testament. Jesus was here to do this thing with John. And I think it is a thing that, and this may be something you don't connect with, but I think it is a thing that a lot of people feel a lot of anxiety about.
Right.
Like how does all of this end? The two big, the the three big questions I really feel like that people ask, just big picture about life. Where did we come from?
Mm-hmm.
What is life supposed to be about? And how does it end?
Yeah. Do you feel like you hear anxiety because it's confusing or because it sounds scary? Or both?
So let's just imagine a world where Jesus is around. The book of Revelation doesn't exist yet. And Jesus is talking to he's bringing it up willingly.
Right.
That people aren't coming up to him being like, so
how's the world going to end?
Tell us about the apocalypse. What's that's all about?
Right.
That seems kind of big. He is willingly choosing to bring this up. And so if you think about the crowd that he's talking to, by and large, you're talking to a hopeless group of people.
Right.
Poor, disenfranchised, no power, no real hope in this world. And I think there is a desire on Jesus' part to kind of cast hope, mm-hmm. that even though this world may be bad and it may feel like it's only getting worse, and that's what a lot of the descriptors of it are, for good or for bad. A lot of the descriptors are, you may think the world is bad, but you understand that is true, and it's only going to get worse.
Right.
But I think even in that, there's a bit of hope in that as you see the world getting worse, take heart, take a little courage, because God knew this. This isn't happening outside of God's control. God's not up in heaven spinning around in a circle, going,
oh, shoot.
Oh, man, what happened? I didn't think this was going to, right? I mean,
that would be the true scariness, I feel like.
Right. And so for Jesus to say, this is coming, we know that it's coming, God has his hands on it, you can take some hope in that. It's still not like, oh, I mean, I know for sure something bad's going to happen. I feel some comfort from that. That sounds weird. But to know that God is aware and is kind of guarding and protecting his people in that time, that you can take some comfort. If a bad thing is definitely coming, I can take some comfort in knowing that God is in it.
Right.
And so I think that is a part of it. And then also, as the more you describe that the world is temporary and is ultimately going to end, the more hope points towards, but there is another place that God is preparing.
Right. But that seems like the ultimate hope that,
right.
I don't know that atheists or maybe every worldview assumes that the world is going to end. I don't know if there's a worldview that thinks we're just going to continue forever.
Yeah.
But it is a hope that this is bad, but there is something else.
Right. Yeah. So I trust that God is in the calamity that is to come. And I trust that God has a better future for me.
Yeah.
And so you put a small, even if it's a vague roadmap together, then I can know what to expect. And then as those things start to happen, I can even have more confidence that God is in control. Oh, this is unfolding just the way Jesus said that it would. And I can take a measure of comfort in that. You know, sometimes when people experience things and they're like, oh, that's just like what it says in the Bible. And they start to panic about it. I'm like, isn't that the opposite reaction we're supposed to have? Like, oh, that terrible thing happened. It was predicted in Revelation. God got proven right again, which is good. Mm-hmm. And this is unfolding the way that he said. And so I can actually trust. I can trust not only in God, but I can also trust in the roadmap. Because I think the panic that some people feel as things start to feel more apocalyptic, the opposite of that is what we're supposed to.
Right.
God's got this. He saw this coming. He told me to expect it. And now that it's happened, I'm like, I don't like it, but I trust God. And I think there's also a sense too, this is something that Jesus said, hey, there's going to be people that are going to say that they're me come back again. And there's going to be people that, hey, Messiah's over there. The Christ is over there. It's like when they say that, don't listen.
Right.
Paul says the same sorts of things. He's like, you've heard about Antichrist, that Antichrist is coming. Actually, a lot of Antichrists are coming. But this, some of you are afraid that the day of the Lord has come and you missed it. Right. Some of you don't even know what the day of the Lord is. And so Paul's just kind of like, listen, here are kind of the things that you can know. And I say this, and it's what Jesus says, what Paul says. I'm saying all this so you don't get deceived.
Right.
Because I think one of the things that I feel like a lot of people who try to play gotcha with Christians will say, Jesus was a poor guy, lived in the Middle East, and, was rejected by the power structures of the time. It's like, man, if Jesus came back today, Christians wouldn't even recognize him. Okay, point taken that a lot of the church is hostile towards people from that part of the world, and can be and not be as caring and compassionate towards poor and people who are experiencing homelessness. We can be like, so that point is taken. The point that I do not take is that Jesus is going to get born as a baby again, and we've got to work really hard to make sure we recognize him.
Right.
Because he made it very clear, hey, I'm going to return in the way that I leave, which was kind of this big moment in which he was kind of carried into the sky.
We won't be able to.
And he also said that, and when it happens, it will be a worldwide event.
Right.
And so he doesn't want us to get...
There's not going to be like you missed it.
Right.
Yeah.
That person says they're Jesus. Are they?
Right.
You don't. They said there's going to be a lot of people that are claiming that.
It's going to be undeniable.
It's going to be undeniable. You're not going to be like, okay, well, that's a lot of angels in the sky, and that was really loud, and it's kind of scary, and everybody all over the world is seeing all of this all at once.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also, if we look at the rest of the Bible, God's not typically a God of confusion.
Right.
Maybe there's some mystery. That's in the...
Yeah.
That can be...
Confusion
claimed,
and mystery are different things, yeah.
But yeah, he's not going to intentionally try and dupe us. He has yet to take that strategy, so it would be crazy if he took that strategy toward the end of the world.
And when people were confused about whether or not he was the Christ, he sat down with the scriptures. It's like, hey, you've kind of misunderstood the scriptures, and goes back and shows us. And so there are parts of Revelation that I believe that are unclear, that are difficult to understand. But I think the things that are the most clear are when he comes back, it's going to be big. He is coming back. Mm-hmm. When he does, it's going to be big. And when he does, that signals the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Those are the things that he's not coming back a second time. He came once and is like, no, you don't understand. There's going to be two.
Right.
He's not going to come back a second time and like, no. It's actually 3. Wait, no. Right. It's actually 4.
Yeah.
He said, when I come back, it's game over.
Yeah. So before we get too far down this road, I kind of want to zoom out kind of to base factual level. So the book is written by John.
Yes.
Who was he writing to? Is this something that he just had a vision? Did he leave it to someone? What was the intent of the book? Right. Kind of give me that breakdown. So
John, the apostle, right? There were 12 disciples. Jesus called to help him. Simon, Peter, Andrew, James, his brother John. Do you know that song?
I do not.
Okay. Anyways.
Probably should.
There's a song. I know there's a song where you learn the books of the Bible and a song where you learn the 12 disciples.
I did learn the books of the Bible. Both.
I don't know the Old Testament one. Apparently there's an Old Testament song. I don't know that one. So it's the Apostle John, like we talked about, also the author of the Gospel of John, the 3 letters of John. Brother was James. He was a fisherman. The only one of the 12 apostles who died of natural causes.
Interesting. Okay.
You
mean was it persecuted or something?
It wasn't executed.
Okay.
Yeah. He was exiled.
Okay.
He was exiled, and while on that island where they exiled him is when he had this revelation. And if
they just sent him to a random empty island.
Yeah. So it was kind of.
That sounds awful.
I would imagine. We could look into this more. I would imagine that this was probably more like what Australia was for the British initially.
Okay.
I think it was probably like a prison island.
Okay. So
I'd
not like
imagine it probably
Azkaban or something
probably
like that.
wasn't.
That's what I'm imagining in my mind.
I'm talking about British history and Australia being a prison colony, and you went Harry Potter. I feel bad. I should have gone Harry
He
Potter.
probably met Bellatrix and
I probably should have.
those people there.
I probably should have gone Harry Potter too. And so if you have a Bible that has red letters, right, so you go to the Gospels, I can know where Jesus is speaking. Then you go to Revelation. A lot of people are surprised to see
there's red letter there.
That a lot of it is red letter.
Interesting.
And so it starts, the first few chapters start with a very specific prophetic word that Jesus has for 7 different churches.
Okay.
And so tell the church in Philippi this, and tell the church here this, tell the church here this. And each one of those things has a really interesting construct to it where it starts with kind of an affirmation. Hey, you're doing really well here. I'm proud of you, but you need to stop doing this or be careful about this. And so it starts in what would probably feels a lot more like one of the Old Testament prophetic books.
Okay.
A word from God comes to John, give this word to this particular group of people, is the typical construct of most of the books of prophecy in the Old Testament. And so the first few chapters start that way, but then it moves from that to a more, a different sort of vision that John has.
Okay.
And with the purpose of, I want you to see this. I want you to write it down. I want you to describe it. And with the idea then that we would have it and would then have this basic knowledge.
Okay. So it's meant to be, it's not like going to the Ninevites and tell these people. It was just
the first part of it was,
okay.
And the second part of it was, tell this thing that you're going to see and experience. I want you to tell everyone that.
Okay.
Which is the primary reason why it was included in the Bible when they were making the decision about what of all of these different letters and books and gospels and things, how are we going to put these in? It seems like its main purpose was to be shared. The reason why some people were like, are we sure though? Like,
it's because of how
like for real? Because it's just so vastly different.
Right.
I mean, you've got these 2 main genres in the Old Testament, gospel acts, if we count that as one thing, just kind of a telling of the story of Jesus 4 different ways. And then the follow-up, kind of the sequel. Here's what the apostles did after Jesus was gone. And then you have all these instructive letters from Romans all the way to Jude, written by a handful of different guys, written to different groups of people. That's great. Let's make sure we understand the history of Jesus, what the apostles were about, get some of their best, most clear, most important, instructive books. We're done.
And then
we've also got this though.
right.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But read it though. Like this is from John the apostle. It says it is a word directly from Jesus and a word directly from Jesus that was meant to be shared. And so even back then there was some question about it.
Right. Because there's no other than the prophets. There's no other in the New Testament book that says this is directly from Jesus.
Well, yeah, I mean, like word for word directly from Jesus. Like Paul was very clear in his letters that the substance of what he was teaching was from God.
Right.
That it had got authority behind it. But it wasn't the same as a prophetic word of there's nothing that Paul wrote that was going to be in red letters.
Right.
Unless he was quoting something from a gospel, which we get that at least once. So this is different than that. There isn't any other like just pure prophetic books like this one.
Yeah.
And I think even then, at the time that they're putting the New Testament together, even more so now, there was still a really kind of pragmatic. Let's put in things that are going to be prescriptive.
There you go.
Right?
Okay.
things that teach easily.
Right.
And except for those things describing what those 7 churches should do, a lot of Revelation is not it's not easily teachable in the sense of, hey, here we're going to learn about this third bowl judgment that is going to hit during this particular time of the tribulation. Therefore, be a better husband.
Right.
It's not like that. It's just kind of like,
you're just kind of gathering
okay,
a vision for something that's going to
right.
happen in the future. So all of the whole book is apocalyptic.
Right.
Right. And so it's all future focused. But then it kind of makes me think of not teaching, or there is teaching in the Gospels and in the letters talking about not being anxious about what's to come. Like there's peace in knowing God and you're good. So how does that kind of match up? And I know John's intent probably wasn't anxiety, but we're taught not to have anxiety. And then you're saying the biggest response to the book is that people are like, oh no.
Well, the book can't be held responsible for people having bad reactions to it.
Right.
You know, if Jesus says this to John and then ultimately to us so that we will be aware, and as we are aware, we can trust that God is in control of it, that things are unfolding the way that, in a way that God always knew that they would. You should take some comfort in that. The fact that some people look at future bad things coming and have the inverse reaction to that. That's not the book's fault.
Yeah. So do you think the main intent was to give hope, or
yeah,
it was
I think it was, and I think it was probably written to an audience that would be more inclined to draw comfort from knowing that there was a plan behind adversity, as opposed to a much softer culture that we have, which is, we believe that we can insurance policy and plan and build, and we can
find our way out of it.
We can prevent catastrophes.
Right.
That just extreme weather events that have happened since the earth, for thousands of years. Right. I mean, just like we feel like, well, eventually we're going to be able to build houses and buildings and things that won't be able to be affected by weather events. Like, I mean, like we believe we can control. And so I think when you read and say the world is going to spiral out of people's control, but God still has control, I think there are a lot of people, Christians included, that will not draw comfort from anything that's main objective is you're going to lose control.
Right. But the end, it's almost like we've gotten into the habit of looking at the disaster that's coming rather than the end result that's coming after that.
Right.
Which is what you would take hope in.
Right.
Is that because
as things get bad, there is going to be someone who's going to be able to come and clean it up and take you to someplace even better.
Right. Because I mean, like, probably any kid would tell you there's scary things that happen, but it's 10 times scarier when you look at your parent and they're scared too.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Right. Jesus, he's got this. He knows this is coming. And in addition to knowing here's how it's going to play out, but also, and as you see that playing out, rather than being scared, it's like, oh, this is playing out the way that he said. And look, in the same book, it says that Jesus is going to come and he's going to win.
Right.
The ending is not in doubt. And so the fact that it seems like during various points in history, evil seems to be winning, I don't have to fear that evil is going to ultimately win. Right. God is ultimately going to win. Don't allow yourself to be paralyzed by the fact that there will be times when evil seems to be winning.
Right.
You're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars, and there's going to be natural disasters, and there's going to be famine, and there's going to be pestilence, and all these things are going to happen. And Jesus kind of describes that as kind of like, these are just kind of like predictors. They're like the growing pains of what is actually going to come. So don't be alarmed by it. Don't freak out about it. What's coming on the other side of that is even going to be more so. Don't even freak out about that, because on the other end of that is the triumph of God, of good over evil, of God over Satan. And so take heart. Don't be surprised and don't freak out.
Right. So in the Old Testament, when there's prophetic about Jesus coming, anything like that, their response was almost just, I don't know if extreme alertness was it, but they were looking for the coming king. And like I was reading the beginning of Luke, I think, and there's someone mentioned at the beginning of the book that he was around the temple for years and he wanted to see the Messiah. That seems like they were so excited about the prophetic word that was coming. Is that a response that we should have?
It's interesting that you say that, because I think that for the most part, a lot of the prophetic writing in the Old Testament mostly had an immediate application to it.
Sure.
Of like, hey, this thing is about to happen in the next couple of years, and here's what I need you to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it did have some more futuristic prophecy to it, predicting the coming of Jesus. But I think they lived so much in the moment, and we can't really judge them as a culture for this. They lived so much in the moment that a lot of them weren't anticipating the coming of Jesus. And those that were anticipating the coming of the Christ, coming of the Messiah, were looking at it through a very narrow lens of, you're going to overthrow this bad government right now for me.
Right.
And so even still, there was a very kind of self-focused, now-focused view that allowed them to miss the bigger picture of what Jesus wanted to accomplish while he was here.
Mm-hmm.
The same way right now, we can look at all the things in the book of Revelation, and we get distracted by, well, that sounds like I'm going to have to go through something bad.
Right.
And we just have we just can't get out of our own tunnel vision of, what is this going to mean for me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want these bad things to happen. I don't want these bad things to happen to me. And so you'll see, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit more as we kind of get into some of the details of what Revelation says, is that sometimes we have this response of, like, we feel like it is our job as Christians to prevent some of the things in Revelation from happening. It is our job to protect ourselves and to make sure that Antichrist doesn't get power. Like, I mean, good luck.
Right.
God says the Antichrist is going to take power. And you sitting around voting for who you think isn't the Antichrist, or lamenting against politicians who have non-Christian values, is not going to prevent something that God has said very surely will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some things like the book of Jonah where he says, hey, here's a prophetic message, and what happens depends on your response to it.
Mm-hmm.
So Jonah's message was, repent or God's going to destroy the city.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they repented, so God didn't destroy the city. This isn't repent or Armageddon's going to happen.
Right.
It's going to, hey, guess what? Armageddon's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so adverse to that, we spend some time trying to prevent it, rather than really having a big picture theology that includes suffering, that includes a broken world, and can take hope even in the midst of suffering and trials.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for people who only knew adversity, primary readers of a lot of these apocalyptic things, who only knew adversity, only knew persecution, only knew subjugation, they would have taken it as hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think, actually, I
really like it here,
I kind of like my life.
Right.
I mean, sure, it's bad in places, but I don't live in those places.
Yeah.
And sometimes bad things happen here, but I've got plans to kind of overcome most of that.
So do you think we've lost sight of how awesome eternity with God is going to be?
I think we like what we have here. And I think there's a deep fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what, Abigail? For eternity, you're going to have to live someplace you've never seen and do something you don't know what, and you're going to have to do it forever.
Right.
Like I remember Heidi, my wife, saying this to the guy who was doing some of our pre-marriage counseling. She was talking about anxiety about becoming a wife. Like I'm making a commitment to do something for the rest of my life that I've never
exactly what it
that
is.
I've never done once in my life. I've never
Right.
once been a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm making a commitment that I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. I think there's a little bit of that to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a sense in which I know what this is, even though it is imperfect, and I ignore the bad parts. I work really hard to make it only good, and I convince myself that this is good. So bad kind of freaks me out, and I'll take this imperfect thing that I know versus anything
That's
that I
good
don't
enough.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, it makes me think of, I was in a history class in college, and they're talking about manifest destiny and all of the different ideas of early America is very inspired by scripture, all these things. And then one student was like, well, looks like the Christians failed. You don't have like a government of your own and all this stuff. And I was like, that's a really interesting point. That's not what I ever thought our goal was. But we could maybe get that kind of confusion of like, we can do enough to.
Well, and we'll talk about this, and this may be a good stopping point for us then to kind of make the transition, because there was for a long period of time, which would have included the late 1700s, 1800s, where a thought about what the book of Revelation meant was things were going to be bad for a season, but we in fact did have the ability to Christianize the whole world. And then once we did that job, Jesus would come back.
Right.
That all the bad things in Revelation are going to happen during this window, but we can fix it. We are going to make the world better. We are going to make the world completely and totally Christian. And then once we have, as God's people, have conquered evil here, Jesus comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So we can talk more about that, because I think that really did kind of inform that.
Yeah.
And we can talk about all the reasons why people don't believe that anymore, because the way the world unfolded in the early parts of the 20th century.
Right.
But that's a good stopping point, because now we're about to get into it. So I think before we start talking about the details of that, it'd probably be good for us to do kind of the big picture overview of kind of the major schools of thought.
Yeah.
So we'll do that next episode.
But let's answer that question.
Okay.
And let's, actually follow up on our promise that I would get an answer out of you.
Of what?
Someone walks up to you and maybe they've had experiences of anxiety with the book of Revelation, or they just don't understand it. Why should I read it? With all of what we've said in mind, why would you say it's worth their time to sit down and read it?
Well, I mean, I would say, I think for the most part, I think you are, if you've got a limited amount of time, I mean, I would encourage you to spend more time on the Gospel of John and the book of Romans and 2 Timothy and Galatians. I mean, there's lots of books that I feel like are just better as far as your ability to kind of, as far as like what I really want out of my devotional reading time with God. But I do think that it's important on some level for us to have some general understanding of kind of the big picture story of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. I mean, we don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the kings of the divided kingdom between Israel and Judea post Solomon, before the exile into Babylon. And even me saying that phrase, like, I don't even know what that, like,
right.
we need to understand that. We need to understand, have an overview, big picture idea of the whole thing. And so part of that is understanding how the story ends. And at the same time, I think it's important for us to read and understand that so that we aren't caught off guard. And I think it does help us shake off an imperfect worldview that we have, that this world is great and our job is to make it great, as opposed to really understanding that we live in a broken, fallen world and our hope is not in this world but the next.
Yeah.
But I would encourage you to read it in a group. And I would encourage you to read it with someone who has at least some sort of, I would encourage you to study it with a trusted person because it is not easily understood.
So we'll have a sign-up sheet to read it with Charlie.
Most people, like there are lots of parts of the Bible that I would encourage people to read, the parts that are most easily understood on your own.
Sure.
But there are parts of the Bible that are significantly more difficult to understand on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we'll spend most of our time on Sundays teaching from the books that people can easily understand on their own, because I want people to believe that the Bible is user-friendly, which it is, but there are some parts of the Bible that are just significantly less user-friendly.
Right.
So it's important to understand it. It's great. Spend your time mostly in your devotional reading and studying the parts of the Bible that you can most easily understand.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these other ones, do it in a group with someone who's going to help you not get off the rails.
End.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Good answer.
I don't want you to feel like I didn't answer the question.
That was good. Okay. And I'm sure we'll round that out even more.
For sure.
Next episode.
For sure. So thanks for joining us. If you have an interest in the book of Revelation, you're probably just like a little drool coming out. I can't wait for the next episode. We're going to talk about all the things. I mean, I feel like most of the time I have a whiteboard. This is going to be difficult in podcast format.
Install one.
Well, but even still, like, I mean, most of the people are listening to this rather than it'd be unfair. But we'll kind of talk about some of the different theories about what Revelation is saying and which ones are more in fashion versus other ones and why, and kind of a little bit of the history of it. And then we'll just, we'll try to do a bit of a deep dive into some of this too. So
yeah.
I love, again, that's why I love the fact that we got you here, where you don't really know a whole lot about it. I'd rather be talking to somebody to fill in the gaps, so we can just kind of fill in some of the gaps, make sure we fully understand this as best we can. So thanks for joining us. Encourage you to keep coming back to the next episode. We'll be doing this for a couple more. Thanks for joining us. And as always, Abigail, thank you.
Good to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Cultivate podcast. Our hope is that you are taking steps to go deeper in your faith, that you are asking big questions and you're looking for answers. We hope that we can be a resource for you through our podcast and any other way that we can help you. You can find all our episodes anywhere that you can find podcasts, including YouTube. And again, thank you so much for joining us.